Hey, what's going on there, boys and girls? Welcome back. Sit down. I want to talk to you about some stuff, but welcome back to New Stuff TV, your spot for infotainment for the average consumer. Today, we're going to be talking about this new soundbar from Sony. It is the Sony Bravia Theater Bar 5. Now, kind of had mixed feelings about this thing, and to be honest with you, I wasn't really expecting much because it's such a small soundbar and it's a 3.1 system. That means it has 3 drivers in the front of it and it has one subwoofer. So I really wasn't expecting a whole lot. And even though it does support Dolby Atmos and DTS:X, I still wasn't expecting a lot because it's such a small package. But it's really impressive what Sony has managed to do inside of a small package with just 3 speakers in front of it, using their vertical surround engine. Now, when me and Wilson first unboxed it, we hooked it up to the Bravia 5. I figured that would be a good match for it. It's a 65-inch Bravia 5. We hooked it up, just kind of slapped it together, right? And this is my honest opinion. The soundbar itself sounded really good, actually. It definitely improved on the sound of the Bravia 5 speakers, but that subwoofer, man, it sounded lame as hell, and I was really disappointed at first. But that was actually all my fault, and I'll tell you about that and how to fix it and optimize it a little bit more, so just hang in there. But for now, we got to get into that center channel. Now, center channel performance is very important to me because that's what brings out your dialogue. I have a history, okay, with center channels. I bought an LG soundbar a few years back. I spent some good money on that soundbar, man. It was huge, had rear satellite speakers and a nice massive subwoofer. The thing sounded great, but I could never hear the dialogue out of it. And I didn't know anything about sound, so I just picked up what I thought was good. And to be honest with you, it wasn't an odd number. That first number, that 3.1, that means it has 3 drivers in the front. One's gonna be a left, one's gonna be a right, and the other one's gonna be a center. Whatever the case was, I think this one had an even number first, which was a 4 or something like that. So it had 4 drivers in the front. There was no dedicated center channel. And that was weird to me. I didn't know that back then. Okay, so that's something to be looking for when you purchase a sound system. The odd number, there should be an odd number in the front. That 3 means 3 drivers. That means you got a dedicated center channel and then everything on the left and everything on the right. The 0.1 is the subwoofer. And then if there's a 0.2 after that, that means you got 2 height speakers, which are Dolby Atmos speakers, but that's getting a little bit more technical. Just a little side piece for you. But yeah, man, I bought that sound bar. I love the sound of it, man. It sounded great. The bass was good, but I could never get those voices dialed in. And that's where this sound bar really came in clutch, because not only does it have a dedicated center channel and a left and right, it's a Sony product, right? And it matches up with your Sony Bravia TVs. So you're gonna get voice zoom. Voice zoom is something that is pretty dog incredible, man. If you can't hear those voices right, you can either dial it down if they're too loud or dial it up if you're hard of hearing if you're having a hard time hearing those voices. I usually keep my voice zoom either on 0 or maybe even sometimes a 3. I never really go higher than that because I don't want to, outdo the other drivers in the system. But once I got that voice zoom dialed in, everything sounded so much better. That dialogue was clean and up. It actually sounded like it was coming directly from the TV. Like every time the lips would move on the TV, it sounded like it was coming from the lips, not below the TV where the soundbar actually is. So then I popped in War Machine. We actually, we watched that earlier this week, or maybe it was last weekend. We watched that last weekend. It was a great movie, so I decided to pop in a sample of that, right? And like I said, it does support Dolby Atmos and DTS:X. And it does do a really great job of uplifting the sound with those heights, like the helicopter and maybe some rounds or missiles flying around or something like that. It does a good job. It definitely doesn't feel like it's coming from overhead because there's nothing there, and it doesn't have up firing drivers. It has 2 front facing drivers for left and right. But that vertical sound engine, man, it does a good job of uplifting that sound and making it sound like it's coming at least from above the TV. And it actually does a really good job of surrounding you. This is all coming from directly in front of you from the soundbar, but it still kind of feels like it's coming from a field around you and above the TV. So from just the soundbar itself giving you that full, wide, and uplifted sound without even having side firing drivers, that's actually pretty incredible. But now we got to dig into that subwoofer, man. Let's go ahead and talk about that. All right, man, I've talked about this before and I'm gonna tell you again until I'm black and blue. Subwoofer placement is paramount. It is It's very important when it comes to subwoofers. If you have the biggest, baddest subwoofer on the planet, it might not matter how big and bad it is if you don't put it in the right place, okay? So you make sure you like put it in all four corners and everywhere in your room to find that sweet spot for that particular subwoofer, okay? So, and that's what I didn't do in the beginning. I just slapped it somewhere where I thought it was gonna sound good. I was wrong. So what did I do? I moved it. And that's where I'll tell you this was my fault why I thought it was lame. So I moved it to another sweet spot that I know I got in my house, and bam, that thing started kicking in. Like I said, I was sampling War Machine just a minute ago. And you know, in the beginning when the Hummers and the Motor T transport starts coming in, and you can hear the rumblings from the engine and just the ground shaking and stuff, I actually felt that in my couch and like under my feet on the carpet. I was like, yeah, now we got some bass. You know what I'm saying? But there's some other tweaks. So this is where this review turns into more of a how-to video, because sometimes, man, people just buy stuff, turn it on, and start using it without going into settings. I'm gonna teach you how to optimize this soundbar, bro. So go into your app. See, some of y'all don't even download the app. Go into your app, man. I got the Sony, the Bravia Connect app right here open. And you can see here, this is the home page. You got night mode, the sound field that you're using. And then you got Voiceoom, which I talked about. But you can see here that I'm actually, I got War Machine playing in the other room just so I can have this connected. And it's playing in Dolby Atmos, see? But you can control your volume from here, your bass level separately on your subwoofer. So that's point number 2. First of all, point number 1 is subwoofer placement. Point number 2 is go in here and crank that sun gun up. Crank it up. I got mine at 5 because, hey, I can do that. You know what I'm saying? So let's see how far it goes. So we got, ooh, I think we're going up to, yeah. So that, what is that, 10? Let me crank it back down to 5. It goes to a -10 as well, but who wants to do that, right? Might as well unplug that joint. And then this is number 3, okay? You gotta go into these settings, okay? Go into the wireless speaker settings, just check it out, make sure everything is set up right, okay? Then you go, this right here really brought my whole system to life, okay? You go into sound settings, play around with this stuff. This first one is super important. Speaker positioning and volume level controls. Distance. How far is your soundbar from your seating position? Well, I'm 11.5 feet away from it. So that's that, okay? And then you got your subwoofer. How far is your subwoofer away from your seating position? You need to plug that in, because what if it thinks it's like 30 feet or 3 feet? Plug that in, make sure that's right, because Sony is doing work in the background to make this thing sound good, okay? But then you get to volume level. This is not the same as the other thing I showed you with the bass level. That's not the same as bass. This is more of a gain. So crank that sun gun up a little bit. You can go into the negatives if you want to, but that's stupid. You can go all -6. That's stupid. Don't do that. You either start off at 0, okay, or you can go to 6. Yeah, for that bass. But you know, since I'm a responsible adult, I'm gonna keep it at 3 for right now. Okay, I don't want my walls crumbling down. And right now, I'm gonna tell you something. That's pretty much it as far as optimizing your system. Oh, wait. So this DSE, go ahead and turn that on. But this audio DRC, that dynamic range compression, you can use it if you want to. I always turn that off. Anytime I see that on any piece of gear, I turn that off, because that's compression and you won't get that volume out of your system that you might be looking for. Oh, there it is right there. Sound field type, vertical surround engine. You can choose between Dolby speaker virtualizer, but I trust Sony. They always do a good job. Haven't let me down yet. So let's stick with the Sony vertical surround engine, and that's how you get in that Dolby Atmos there, okay? So those are your settings that I would use in order to get that thing optimized so it can sound good. Because right now, War Machine is playing in my media room. And I asked my wife, she came in, I said, babe, sit down and listen to this. And then it was the scene right before, you know, the explosion happens in War Machine. And she said, well, what am I supposed to be? Whoa. And then the explosion happened. She said, wow. I said, yeah, that's that soundbar and that little subwoofer. She said, are you serious? I was like, yeah. And she was impressed. I'm impressed. Like, it is what it is, man. So try out those settings, right? And make sure you find that sweet spot for your subwoofer. You're gonna be good to go, homie. Now it's a simple sound bar, but it's got a lot of technology and a lot of power packed into it. And it's definitely gonna be a huge upgrade from your TV speakers, especially if you're coming from, you know, like a 65-inch Bravia 5 or a Bravia 7 or something like that. It's definitely gonna be a huge upgrade. So in this case, you're gonna get more than what you bargained for by getting this sound bar. That was a close one, Sony, man. I thought you was doing me raggedy on the bass this time, man. That was a close shave, but it actually turned out to be my fault, man. I'm glad we was able to figure that out. So with that being said, I can highly recommend this soundbar to be paired up like perfectly with a 65-inch Bravia 5, a Bravia 3 Mark II, that new joint that just came out, or even a Bravia 7. It's a little bit, you know, it's a small soundbar, but it packs a lot of sound. So if you like matching aesthetics, you might not want to go past 65 inches, but I actually hooked it up to the 75-inch Bravia 9 I got out there, and it's a good match for that. But for my perfect pairing, definitely a Bravia 5 or a Bravia 3 Mark II. Now, I do appreciate y'all stopping by, but I do love my privacy even more. So it's time for y'all to get up out of here, man. But until I see y'all again, keep being good to each other, and I'll see you when I see you.